Welcome to Drag the Waters podcast, cultural commentary from your two Texas bro. It is your host, Aaron James, anarchist, the cultist.
Mario DT Dubs, what's going on?
Hell yeah, the true Texan over there. Today we're going to be talking about stonkgate, and of course we also got to do a quick shout out to Black History Month. You know, the shortest month of the year and the only time of year that white people get to pretend they care about Black history.
Oh man.
Yeah. Coming at you from your Resident Evil, white man. Not Resident Evil, but the evil in residence. That's me, Aaron James, evil white boy.
Right, American majority.
Yeah, man, but fucking this past week, dude, stonkgate, man.
All day, every day, stonking, making money, AMC for the win. I think it kind of went away really fast though. Like last week, it like controlled everything. The entire American market was like declined like 3%. I think it went down to October levels, 2019 or some shit like that.
I have no idea. I don't keep up with any of this stuff except what I hear from the great work.
The way I figured it was like the whole market went down because these fucking dudes had to like pay all their debts, so they had to like sell their diversified stocks.
Talking about when the rich people were shorting their stocks.
Yes.
Causing a depression, thinking everyone's going to sell or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know the full mechanics of it.
Me neither.
But it's.
But I'm on the ride, son. Riding that shit.
Yeah. Ride or die. That's pretty messed up, dude. Like, from what I've been hearing about it, it's funny because some of our friends are just like, I'm sorry, Mr. Bash, but I believe there's some nationalism and stuff going on. I know you're gonna listen to this, but yeah, I don't think this has nothing to do with nationalism or good faith. This is people participating in a meme because it's one, hilarious, two, hurting the rich people, and three, some people are just looking to cash out. I don't see this as good versus evil. I see this as evil versus evil, like all around evil.
Like chaotic evil versus like lawful evil.
No, there is no lawful evil. It's like neutral evil versus chaotic neutral.
What?
It's just there's probably some good intentions around there somewhere, but I feel like some people are gonna make a lot of money. Most people are gonna lose a lot of money.
For sure.
And don't get me wrong, like I fully support this as an agent of chaos coming up, but I don't know, man. It's just like I'm happy to see the 1% taking a hit, and if we're lucky, maybe this will turn out good for the common man. But I'm not really, what's the word? Optimistic about it. The powers are gonna be like.
Well, it's crazy seeing like the veil fall too, because if you look at like Forbes and you look at like Financial Times and all this shit, like they're saying all the Reddit bros are evil, the good guys are the short sellers, and
they related it to they don't call it the revolution. What do they call it at the Capitol? The storming of the Capitol.
The insurrection.
The insurrection. Yeah. Now it's a financial insurrection.
It's crazy, but it's interesting to see like the whole machine like gaslight it and be like, oh, all these people are white supremacists.
Buy silver. They're shorting silver.
They're all fucking Trumpers.
We own all the silver.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's interesting how they're trying to like create another meme in order to get people off of it, or like the same thing with the Doge coin. Like Doge went up 800%. The idea was that like, okay, all these people, they couldn't buy stocks because they limited the stock buying ability or just like canceled it off already.
Yeah,
so it's like it forced people to sell and then they see Dogecoin like go into the moon or whatever, and then people like push that and they're like, oh man, like let me spend all my money on this shit,
They're trying, man. Yeah, it's only memes when the common man does it. I don't think the elites meme, especially when it's coming out of fucking CNN and Fox News or any of the mainstream media. It's like, that's not memes, that's propaganda.
Yeah.
It's hilarious though.
Well,
first day, like you said, unveiling. I believe this is an apocalypse, which means unveiled, not the end of the world. It's the end of one world. The empire is collapsing, but like first with coronavirus and the riots after George Floyd, and everyone gets to see how the media and on social media how people how George Floyd riots good. People, pro-Trump people
Bet.
You know, I don't know. I mean, there's probably some riot elements there. I don't know. I wasn't there. But it's just like putting their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk,
Yeah.
like bad, evil. You know, George Floyd cop's bad. Cop gets shot at the storming the Capitol. Good.
Cop's good. Yeah.
It's just team sport at this point. It has not. There's no principle there. It's like if my team does it, it's good. If the other team does it, it's bad.
Well, they're running on the basis that like everyone forgets. You know, like the attention span is really short. So it's like, oh, I don't even remember all the riots in Portland and Washington and Kenosha and Georgia, Atlanta. Like none of that happened like a week ago. You know,
That's why they want to squash all the independent like news commentators because like we remember.
dude. The thing, yeah, like I remember I had to actually get off Twitter because I was getting so upset at like the communist uprising because I was following essentially five journalists that were in Portland covering the what is it, the siege. They even called it a siege, like the siege on the federal court building or some shit, dude. And it was just like hundreds of these communists, and they were like overt communists. They had like the sickle and hammer and shit, and they were like saying, "We need to burn these motherfuckers to the ground, and we need like to create a new equitable future government, blah blah blah." And like none of that shit was covered. I think it was covered on Fox News for like 15 seconds, and then they pulled away because it was a White House briefing. So the White House was talking about it. McKenney or whatever her name is had it on,
Oh yeah.
and then like they pulled away and were like, "Oh, we didn't think it was going to be that violent or some crazy shit."
Mm-hmm.
And then
Well, Fox News can't go too true, man. Otherwise, the mask will slip.
right, and then also Atlanta. I didn't even know about Atlanta until somebody shared a link on Twitter, and then I watched like a 3-hour stream where these people were like shooting mortars at cops and like breaking into buildings and all this stuff, and they were just like, "Oh man, we on the streets, man. They can't do shit." And I was just like, "What the fuck's going on in Atlanta, dude? Like it looked like a war zone."
It's it is a war. I mean, it's not like what they call it, total war, full war, but it's like the beginning of war. Luckily, we're not, or even our hope. Good thing we're so bougie in America. Like we've got it so good that when the war breaks out, it's not like it's not hard yet. It's not like I don't know too much about the Spanish Civil War where they're like dragging communists in the street and beating them to death and raping their wives and all that nastiness.
That shit's gonna be brutal. I'm glad I live like where I do, and I've got like cameras and guns, and I'm pretty sure a lot of my neighbors are really well armed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that shit'll get brutal. But I don't think it'll get bad here. I think it'll get really bad in the coast.
Well, it's going to get bad where, yeah, probably somewhere in one of those cities. Oh, not even, maybe where there's like, where the power structure's not entrenched enough or like where it's decayed enough to where they can have real chaos. Because I think that there is that silent majority where it's not really left or right. It's just like, I'm tired of all this BS, you know, as long as they're in the city where all the businesses are and they're not in my, you know, my suburb or my development, it's fine. But as soon as like if people start showing up in the suburbs where people got guns and where the cops live, like you better believe like it's gonna get bad fast.
Yeah, and like thankfully a lot of this is happening in politically homogenous zones too, like Portland. They're not really getting
Democrat cities.
Yeah, they're not really getting resistance from the population though. They're getting resistance from the police. And then like the higher ups are telling the police to stand down. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the videos of like, oh, these fucking extremists pushing these cops out of this zone or whatever, there's no violence. Like, yeah, it looks like a really tense situation, and you have like these people like walking backwards slowly in full riot gear. But like, if it was a really tense situation, people would be dying, you know.
I still don't understand why Donald Trump didn't just like
bring the hammer down.
Well, he's probably got the Illuminati with knives at his throat while he's up in Washington. That's probably really it.
Well, I mean,
or he was afraid of it affecting his reelection or whatnot.
dude,
but
for
like,
4 years,
I bet if he would have come down hard,
dude, it would have been.
he probably would have. Well, people would probably be way more upset right now. I'll just say that.
Dude, they would have called him everything. It would have verified everything that they had been calling him for years. They're like, this guy's fascist dictator, whatever, ruling with an iron fist, shutting down these people. I mean, he should have just federally arrested all these people.
Well, they'd say that, but then all the people like
all the violence would go away.
it's like all the people in Portland who were like afraid, like, oh look, my street is safe again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, yeah, man, it's I don't know, it's whatever.
Brutal tactics, dude. Like, I think it would have been better, but like, it's at what cost, you know? Like, Portland's a really easy city to shut down. It's like a major highway going north-south and a major highway going east-west, and then they're stopped by the river to the north,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like a mountain pass to the south and the east. So it's like it would have been so easy. Imagine like if you did the Civil War, right? You could just what's it called? You can shut the whole thing down. Like in the Civil War, the Navy took the Gulf Coast, and then they took the Mississippi River, and then they had like full encirclement.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had double envelopment, and then they just like closed it down. Because I mean, dude, it's so weird that like we're living in a third world country where they have like a not even a momentary barrier.
I don't think we're third world, but
It's a new structure around the White House. They've erected a wall.
are we talking about Democrats putting up borders?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
They've erected like a military blockade that's no longer going to be what's the word I'm looking for?
your whole ideology's a lie.
Where it's only there for a short period of time. You know what I'm talking about? Temporary. So it's no longer a temporary like
Like they put up a chain link fence,
security. Yeah,
probably a tall one.
with like a bunch of fucking National Guard around it.
Right, right. You know, we know who they work for.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's seeing like that was the first like the because I guess this is when I started getting more involved. I mean, George Floyd riots and people response made me quit Facebook. Like I haven't been back on Facebook since. Which is probably
Welcome.
a good thing. More freedom, even though I do miss like the fake social feeling I got from like scrolling through it. But that's my mental illness aside. Seeing the veil lifted, it's becoming just more apparent with the how mostly the media. The media is the big perpetrator here, like the most obvious one.
No, the media is the hand.
Yeah,
The media is the hand for sure.
but then you see like the political leanings and how it all like interacts. Like this is good riot, this is bad riot. It's okay to go out in the lockdown for these reasons, but not for these reasons. It's I would say very transparent, you know. And then now we're seeing it not just with violent riots and lockdowns, but now with money in the stock market and the finances. There's like we're gonna lose $8 billion.
Yeah,
because of all these memesters on
70 billion
on Reddit. $70 billion.
Get ready.
What I do? Hey, Robin, you gotta shut this down. We can't be having this. You know where your money's coming from. That is fucked up, man.
Yeah, and they did the cost benefit analysis, and it's like, look, we'll lose a couple $100 million in lawsuits. A couple of y'all go to jail for a little while, but we'll keep the fucking billions. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like
gangsters, bro. It's like mob shit.
It's always like it's what a lot of people say. Eric July is always like, it's not my team. You know, I don't support the cops. I don't support the Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. It's goofy, and I don't know how people can like. Well, they're hypnotized, of course, and conditioned and afraid and all that stuff, emotionally manipulated, that they can't see like the state and the people in that club like working against them. It's just like, no, you can't.
Well, the state is like one of the worst perpetrators for like minorities in this country. Period.
What do you mean?
So it's like one of the ways that black slaves were like held down, what's the word, like more efficiently in the United States than like in other countries was that they were completely dependent. So they weren't allowed to like have allowances and like save money and save resources like food and stuff. So they were like dependent on their plantation owners. Whereas like in other countries, like in the Caribbean or in South America, they were allowed these responsibilities so that when slavery ended, they had like, think of it like home education.
Like, they had networks in place and stuff.
Exactly.
Infrastructure.
And they had like a disciplined system where they knew how to like, you know, not create commerce, but like manage their stuff, manage their economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in America, they were kept like as dependent as possible on the ruling class. And so that even after it ended, you know, blacks were doing better in America post-Civil War than they were post-Lyndon B. Johnson after the welfare state. So the welfare state incentivized yet again like dependence on the state.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it incentivizes, like for instance, 3/4 of all the money spent in the, what's the word, below the poverty level
Mm-hmm.
was all federally funded. So it was all like food stamps and like federal paycheck allowances and free rent
Yeah.
and stuff. So like, and you incentivize these.
And once you get above that, the poverty line or whatever,
Then
you lose 2/3
of your income.
of your income. So you're better off just staying below that line
Exactly.
unless you get aim high enough,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And so you have like,
And this is really where pooled resources would help someone get out of there, is to join some kind of network support group doing that.
yeah, and this is how like the state keeps the people down, and it makes them feel better about themselves too. Like the people, the upper class that support these programs, they're like, oh well, I'm helping the lower class by giving them a minimum wage, and I'm helping the lower class by giving them rent control, and I'm helping the lower class by giving them these benefits. And I mean, during the COVID-19 was such a great example. You know, you give all these dudes fucking an extra $600 a month on top of their unemployment or whatever, and now all of a sudden these people are making $4,000 a month, and then when the economy reopens, they don't want to go back to work. They're like, fuck that, I'm making $1,600 more not doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's bad for the economy, and it's bad for the country because now we have less production.
Yeah, it's going to collapse the service industry. It'd be bad, man. That's the most insidious thing of the government is when, because how these people operate is they know they're smart enough not to like be direct in their use of force.
Mm-hmm.
If they're gonna be like, we're doing this for your good, for your own good, you know. And there's also usually subtext of like, you know, because you're too stupid to do it yourselves.
Yeah, and that also has to do with the collectivist idea. You have all these people on the leftist progressives that think like there needs to be a ruling class. And then you have the bourgeoisie that is like, I am the ruling class. Like all these people don't know how to make decisions for themselves, so I'm going to make decisions for them. And ultimately that goes to benefit themselves or the party they support rather than the individual, like cause and effect.
Well, the middle rich or the bougie people, they're part of the bureaucracy. It's not like they're actively asserting their own. Well, they don't have like they're NPCs essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just taking the goodwill and the intellectual decisions of the ruling class and passing them through in a bureaucratic style.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably just a subconscious thing.
Well, they also take the moral high ground. They're just like, oh, well, I went to college and I was taught these indoctrinated lessons.
Yeah, all their self-esteem and everything
And
is dependent upon this identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's garbage.
It's a luxury resource. It's like, I have the ideas that signal to everyone else that like I'm part of this class of people.
Yeah, it's terrible. You know, I just wish these people could, you know, understand that they already had value and they don't need to do.
And it's also why 70,000 people lost their job last week from the oil industry because like solar panels are supposedly better for like the environment or whatever, and that's completely.
Let's just use the oil till it runs out. It's already there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, also like they don't understand that mining the minerals for solar panels and for the rare earth metals used in windmills,
It's just as bad.
it's in some cases worse. You know,
Yeah.
and it's America has the cleanest air of all developed nations. When Joe Biden wanted to rejoin the Paris Climate Accords, who the fuck was it? I don't want to say it wasn't. It was some UN council or some shit. They were like, America doesn't need to join. Y'all have like the cleanest air in the developed world, and it's because we've developed carbon capture technologies. Like the problem with that I have with going green is that, well, one, that when we produce the oil, and now we're the number one producer of fossil fuels in the world, right? It makes oil cheap, which makes all logistics cheap, which makes all labor cheap. It makes everything more cost effective, which means that we can move into the future, like move into these renewable new technologies and move into this nuclear age.
The transition better.
Yeah, and like maintain being fucking rich and like get more rich and like produce a like go into the future faster. Whereas like when we cripple ourselves by like destroying our petroleum economy, now it's going to make everything more expensive.
We're not destroying ourselves. This is the cabal.
Yeah.
All right, let's make this. They need all that gas for their Humvees.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. They're like, make the gas expensive so only I can afford it, so
Right.
my daughter can drive it around safe and not be destroyed.
And then all these poor people have to walk, or they have to get into
Welfare.
welfare, or another idea is what's that shit called, like public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can move into a more public transportation economy quicker.
Where the government controls the oil still.
Yeah, but like you just have to have the oil faster. But back to what I was saying, it was we can move into the future quicker with cheap oil, and then people don't understand the toll of solar and mining, dude. Like it's way more destructive.
They just think it's better because they've been told it's better.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, there's no gases coming off of this solar panel. It's like, okay, but how long?
You think the drills are solar powered?
Yeah, it's like how
You think the trucks are solar powered?
I know,
to move the metals?
big ass holes in the ground, dude, and like the destruction of the forest and the destruction of the plains and like
You're like, no more Keystone Pipeline.
destruction of the river.
We're now mining that land
Yeah,
for
dude,
solar panel metals.
Dude, yeah, and it makes it toxic. In fact, what is it? It produces more toxic waste than mining for uranium, than using uranium.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people don't get it. They're just like, but look at all these solar panels on these houses, and it doesn't smell bad outside, or like what like there's no smog or whatever the fuck it is. Like it's so dumb. And we've created technologies for carbon capture where we can reuse the carbon as another fuel source.
Mm-hmm.
So like these kind of developments help us move into, because as you technologically progress, you find more and more ways to be more economical with your resources. It's like the back in the day, 100 years ago, plastics were a byproduct of petroleum, of making gasoline, and nobody fucking knew of it. They were just throwing it away. And then it's like now, oh shit, everything's made out of plastic.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like people don't understand.
Even the turtles are made out of plastic.
Yeah. But it's like technology, you can't underestimate human ingenuity, because we're going to like step into this future and like be more and more creative. I don't know who said it. I know Michael Malice said it, but I don't know. He was referencing someone. It's like the human mind is the rarest material, or like rarest,
like the most precious resource
on the planet, and that the Earth has an infinite amount of resources because we have the human mind.
Yeah, and going back to like talking shit about the government, all this innovation will probably happen in the private sphere.
Yeah.
Because the government's only good at three things: killing people, stealing your money, and being inefficient.
Inefficient, bro. I mean, look at how much Tesla did, or not Tesla, SpaceX.
Look at FedEx.
SpaceX did more in 13 years than NASA did since the 60s, dude. Like, and yeah, FedEx versus FedEx, UPS, Amazon
versus USPS.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna find a way to make it better because there's money on the line.
Yeah, dude.
And people are like,
laissez-faire, bro.
I mean, that's what turned Thomas out, is working in the government, seeing how inefficient it is. It's like, I support all, like, if you want to have these programs, great. Like, you want to make it a nonprofit, make it private, because they're going to do it better, especially if there's competition. Or maybe they'll even merge and do it better because one of them's going to do better than the other.
Yeah.
But no, everyone's like, it's got to be the government. It's got to be the government. Mm-hmm. It's like, no. The government is going to screw it all up.
Yes.
And it's bad. It's really, really bad.
Well, I don't understand, like, the ideology either. Maybe it's just coming from where I was raised or where we were raised.
Which part of the ideology?
Just, like, why the government needs to be in control. Like, what was it? I was having an argument about gun control, right? And the people were talking about is, the government needs to get rid of all the guns, and they need to buy back, and they need to go out and take all this shit. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because if you have a gun buyback program, let's say for some weird reason, all the law-abiding citizens actually give their guns to the government, right? That's assuming
like the government's going to pay top dollar for our guns,
right? And that's also assuming that like the criminals are going to give their guns to the fucking government. Like that's such a naive thing. Like,
no, the government should be passing out guns.
Yeah, and if you look at the war on drugs, we have a worse drug problem now than we did before the war on drugs started.
Yeah, war on poverty, same thing.
Same thing. When
war is bad, okay?
When they did the prohibition, that led to organized crime, and all these mob bosses were like running shit, and killing cops, and killing people, and killing each other, and just making fat racks. Mm-hmm. Like you're just gonna do the same thing. That's what you did with the war on drugs, and now you have like the worst heroin epidemic in the country, and the cartels in Mexico are fucking rolling in money. It's like feudal Japan in Mexico with guns, dude. Like,
yeah.
And people don't want to talk about Mexico. This is why I've always thought it was weird since 2006 how all the media attention for violence and war has been in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. When like Tijuana was the deadliest place in the world for like 4 years in a row, like a decade ago.
Smoke and mirrors, my friend. It's like all the violence is all the way over there.
And like here in Texas, dude, like I had a coworker from El Paso, Laredo, and they were like, oh yeah, like one day we had to evacuate the schools or whatever, and like there was 6 people hanging from the highway, like an overpass and shit, and then like a week later they found a mass grave like across the border and shit, and like all these people's heads cut off and stuff. And it's like, people don't understand.
Azteca returns.
Like you want to get rid of the police in Portland. Like, well, one, I'll just say this. The cartels are already in the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't ask me how I know that. Let's just say I know. If you got rid of the cops in Portland, Oregon or Seattle, Washington, and you think Antifa is going to be in control, no.
They can't even garden right, bro.
No, bro, they'll get fucking murdered, bro. Like, because like right now they think that like, oh yeah, we run the streets because we're communists, whatever. It's like, no, bro, because like the people with real money, the people with the money and the drugs are going to come in and just murder everybody, and then they'll run the streets, and then I don't know. Maybe it should just happen. Maybe we should just watch it happen. Like, I'm so states' rights, dude. Like, I want them to have their socialist or their communist utopia. Like, let them have it. Let that happen to Oregon. Let it happen to Washington. Let them have their free healthcare, their free college, and their free everything.
That's the problem with the leftist power structure. It's not enough just to have it in your own geographic area.
They want the whole country.
We got to give democracy to the Middle East, man. They didn't even ask for it. We just gave it to them because we're such good people.
Dude, did you hear about what's happening in Myanmar?
No, I don't even know. I couldn't even. Is that India, right? It just sounds like India or somewhere in that general area.
Let me Google that shit.
Fuck it. What's going on in Myanmar? Just say it.
Apparently, they had like a military coup of the democratically elected people there, and then this afternoon or this morning, the Biden administration said that they weren't going to tolerate people coming in and jeopardizing the democratic elections or whatever. So
Yeah,
pretty
they
much
got some nice precious metals
we're
over in
this,
Myanmar.
yeah, dude, we're fucking already getting ready. We're posturing up to like send in the fucking big boys.
Halliburton's got a massive erection right now. Like,
Dude, did you buy Halliburton? I was telling somebody recently. I was like, dude, like buy all these military stocks while they're cheap, dude. Raytheon, Halliburton,
and you think I'm not
Lockheed.
becoming more sociopath, bro? Like, that's how it is, man. Full America, full on America.
Oh man, like I'm just glad we're here, dude. I'm glad.
No, life is good. I was going to say that life is good.
Dude, fucking America's great. Texas is great. Yes.
Oh yeah, like I don't go hungry. I got a place to live. I have the opportunity to work somewhere. Because like people, like all these communists are like, I don't want to make $15 an hour washing dishes, blah blah blah. And then it's like a dude in Mexico's like, what?
$15
an hour?
Yeah.
Per hour?
Yeah.
Sign me up, man.
Dude.
It's like, yeah, but you're gonna have to share a room with 4 other people.
Okay.
Only 4 people?
Only 4, dude.
I'm sharing with 8 right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
My whole family's in the same room.
That's what they don't get, man. Like the American dream is very real to foreigners. Like there's people in Africa are flying to Brazil and then like trekking by foot all the way up to the Texas-California border.
Because it's better than where they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Like, and then you have these people like, oh, I need fucking $20 an hour to wash these dishes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No, you need to find Jesus again.
Mm-hmm. And get out of the city. Get out. Like, the only reason people live in city is for the opportunity. But you don't need to live in this. Dude, if you've got a car, and I understand a lot of people don't have a car. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I understand people can't afford Uber every day because can get really expensive really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, like, go to the city, get a job, and then, like, 6 months later, buy a car. And 6 months later, rent an apartment in a suburb. And then 6 months, like a year, 2 years later, like you got to have a 5-year plan. You got to have a 10-year plan. You got to have a 20-year plan. Because if you're going day by day,
I mean, it's recommended. You don't.
Of course, yeah. But if you're going day by day, dude, of course you're gonna be living paycheck to paycheck. You know, and like the only reason people should live in the city is for the opportunity. You know, and I wouldn't suggest living in the city because it's super expensive. I remember I got in a conversation. Oh man, fucking Twitter argument with some commie.
That's not a conversation, bro.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, the minimum wage in Austin needs to be $15 an hour or some shit like that." And I was like, "Dude, people in Austin don't need to live in. People making minimum wage in Austin don't need to be living in luxury apartments downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like people making minimum wage in Austin need to be sharing a house or sharing an apartment with like 2 roommates or 1 roommate, living in a 4-bedroom with 3 roommates, like, and sharing it that way. Not fucking living in a single studio luxury with a fucking gym and a hot tub and a whatever with views of downtown. Like, that's dumb. Like, and if you think you need that, like, I mean, and they were like, there's no opportunity for shared housing. I was like, how the fuck do all these college kids live, dude? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then also he was talking shit. He was like, minimum wage needs to be $15. It's like, bro, Chick-fil-A is hiring for $17. Like, minimum wage is $7. Like, what the fuck you talking? You can get a job at P. Terry's for $14 an hour. That's almost double minimum wage. You can get a job at Hat Creek for $15 an hour. That's minimum wage times 2 plus $1. Like people don't get that the market sets the rate.
Yeah, man. Definitely, that's how good we have it in Texas, that people can be paying like that without the mandation,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah,
but it's like,
but without it being the law.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
For real. And if we dropped the minimum wage, prices would come down, but like, so would the price of everything that is touched by the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and actually, there's probably a lot of things that won't change that much.
And
But I mean, we've already talked about this, where you know you can it allows more opportunities to pay people at their level, and then it gives more opportunity for the business to reward the better workers. But most of these people complaining probably are shit workers. Probably because people who excel, if they learn any stuff, either they move up to like a management position, or they get out and learn how to do something else because there's more money to be made for shit work.
Precisely. And what is it? If you look at just the population of people that make minimum wage,
Yeah.
50% of the population is between the age of 16 and 22.
Really?
Yeah. 65% of the population is part-time.
Yeah.
40% of the population is living with their parents. Only 15% of the population making minimum wage has one dependent. And then all these people, they move out. I mean, just by age alone, they get out of the 16 to 22 years old.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, okay, now I'm in college, or now I've been working here for 4 years, so now I'm a manager, or now I'm like getting paid more, or I found a trade, or I did something. I just got the fuck out. But the problem is, like, people don't want to use those statistics to push their agenda. They want to use the people. They think that people making minimum wage are like, the majority of these people are like 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, and have 2 kids and are getting pushed out of their house.
I'll say again, if you're 50 years old making minimum wage,
you fucked up.
You probably fucked up. There's probably like maybe 5% of people that maybe like their job or whatever like went away. Like if the truck driving stopped tomorrow night, like it might be some of those people. But even still, like you have to go into minimum wage for maybe, I mean, if you're smart, 3 months. I mean, it's not hard to wash dishes good, or do any of that stuff. Like, as you're willing to learn, like that's it. I mean, I know it's like some people just aren't able to be profitably employed, and I respect that. And I do think there is a place for charity and whatnot.
Yeah, charity should not
from
be
the
a government.
It shouldn't be a government thing.
Like, get charity from your family. Get charity from the church. Get charity from, what's the word, benevolent millionaires. I forget what they're called.
Donors.
Venturists or whatever.
All like angel investors and stuff. Yeah,
there's outlets.
There's ways to like ways to solve problems that don't involve the government.
Yeah, like homelessness in Austin right now. There is a group. I forget where they are, dude. I know it's close to the international airport there.
Yeah.
But they're building. They're basically using the Finnish idea, the Finland idea, where they house these people and they give them jobs.
Yeah.
And they like give them reason that like give them. I think it's all ran by the church, dude, or like it's like a higher power, like alcoholic AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And all you gotta do is like follow the rules. And then all of a sudden you're getting an allowance. You live in a little tiny home. And you're living in a tiny home community, and there's a church there, and like you have social workers there and priests, and like the whole idea is to get these people out of the streets,
on their feet,
where they're
out of the streets and on their feet.
Yeah, where they're not doing fucking heroin shit. And that's not the government. That's like a nonprofit. That's like people that want to help people. And there's lots of those opportunities out there.
I'd rather just buy heroin for all those people.
Yeah.
No, just.
I mean, that's one thing. I don't know the studies on that, but I think some places do that. But like when you go in and get heroin, then you're on like 2 weeks suicide watch, and they're like counseling you.
Yeah, I was just channeling my inner Tim Dillon, saying the worst thing possible.
Drugs, dude.
Just give him the drugs, but no.
They said something. He was on Lex Friedman recently.
Yeah, it was great. I watched that. It popped up as like,
watch.
I didn't know I needed this in my life.
Yeah, but one of the things I really liked in that podcast, where he was talking about, some people don't need to be driven.
Yeah, some people who enjoy doing absolutely nothing.
You should just do that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Like you do your work, and then do nothing afterwards. That's fine.
Yeah, and allow yourself to have that independence. Don't let these fucking benevolent, or in quotation marks, so you can't see that, we don't have a camera yet, but
we got cameras.
These fucking what the fuck is it? Collectivists. Don't let these collectivists like label you and like control you, dude. Like do your own thing. Rugged individualism. Like
To a point. It doesn't need to be that rugged. It doesn't need to be that individual. There's a whole. That's the only thing. Like the whole power structure is already there. Just use it. Use it
play the game.
with just be smart about it, or find someone who's smart and then listen to them, like someone you trust who's got something good. But yeah, the whole thing about like people doing too much, people like understand that we are barely a step above chimpanzees.
Mm-hmm.
Chimpanzees aren't eating their asses over like I'm a loser still living at home with my mom and my grandma. I'm such a crappy worker. Jessica left me or whatever. They don't think they get up every day. They look for food and jerk off or whatever.
They go for it.
Yeah, it's like if you have a place to stay, you got food to eat, you got someone to talk to that doesn't make you feel like complete shit. You're doing pretty good. I mean, there's probably even a way to live on the street that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Texas where the weather doesn't like go super crazy. But you don't have to aim high. Like it's not for everybody. I mean, and people who do aim high, they don't really have control over that. It's like natural for them. It's a natural drive. If you just need to do your work and then pull your resources with your family or some roommates and then want to live like a degenerate, do it. I'm pro ghetto fabulous. Like if you want to live off the government and get the big car and the big TV and the gold chains or whatever, however you want to manifest, the fabulousness of the impoverished lifestyle, say go for it. Like, who fucking cares?
Right. But just don't bitch and complain.
I mean, do what you gotta do. Like, I'm not listening to you anyway. I don't care.
Exactly.
And when I say I don't care, I mean that with like a dispassionate love. Like, I don't care enough to try to control you. I don't care enough to try to tell you how to live your life. You have freedom. Of course, that might scare a lot of people, even though they don't want to like admit to that real fear. But like, no, I don't care. I don't care I don't care if you are racist or any of this stuff. I don't care if you're a communist. I don't like the ideology, but like,
yeah, dude.
I'm not gonna hate you for it.
Live your fucking communist dream. You could do that, bro. Like, pull together, buy fucking 20 acres, and have all your fucking communists.
Yeah, this is the right way to run a commune, but you gotta work.
Yeah. Like, these people aren't gonna be. You're not gonna live in the modern world with your fucking iPhone and everything if the what is it? The labor group. What's the word? It's not the bourgeoisie. It's the
proletariat.
The proletariat, bro. Because unless you own the sweatshop and like the factory that's making those fucking iPhones, you're not gonna get those iPhones in your fucking community, dude. Like, you gotta either own the labor or not. And even if we went full commie, that labor's in China and Korea right now. So like, you're not gonna own that labor.
Yeah. And the government's not gonna do a good job. There's gonna be shortages. I mean, you go to some economists, like the free market adjusts itself, like it stabilizes.
Yeah, the free market's like a living, breathing entity. It's like a what's the word? Like a living AI where it learns. What is it? What's that called?
I don't fucking know, dude.
AI learns,
Just say people want stuff and they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's bad to like create laws about these things.
Scarcity is the rule. Poverty is the rule. Excellence and wealth are the exception.
Yeah.
And only exceptional people get those things.
And it's okay to be unexceptional. Like, that's most people. And since we are living in an age of abundance, like, there are ways for individuals to be exceptional because of niche markets. Like, if you are a specific kind of nerd about whatever, there's other people who want to listen. The internet is the main tool, but you might not even want to do all that stuff. And like, I like Charles Bukowski, the famous writer, on his gravestone just says, "Don't try."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they brought that up in the Tim Dillon interview. I like that because what I think about it, it's like, don't try. I mean, I think about this a lot because I'm like, oh man, maybe should I get a job? How am I gonna try to sell myself with all my crappy fast food experience and all this stuff? I'm super smart and humble,
Yeah.
And
He's the humblest guy I know.
and all this stuff. I'm just like, it's a lot of work, and like I'm down to work, but it's like you gotta find what work excites you really, or is the least objectionable if you don't have a positive drive. But I don't know, man. This is what it is. It's good to be an American, though, for sure.
Oh, dude. Yeah. And over time, like the standard of living goes up regardless, unless there's like a big shutdown, like when the Roman era went to like the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
You know, like people 100 years ago, I guess a little more than that, they didn't have refrigerators, you know? So, like, unless they lived in the north and had a root cellar, they couldn't hold meat, you know, or unless they salted it, you know, like just the so much leisurely time that we have nowadays, whereas like 160 years ago, we'd be working from sunrise to sunset.
That's the problem. People are just bored, man.
Yeah.
You don't got to hunt your food. You don't gotta like worry about the elements.
You can binge watch cartoons all day, eating fucking junk food.
Hell yeah. You can binge watch cartoons so much that you get sick of cartoons.
Yeah.
And you're just like, then you start turning to communist philosophy to fill the void inside. When really you should just be like making cartoons instead of watching them.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a hole in the market because you're not alone, which is a beautiful idea. Which is why we're doing this podcast. Consume so many podcasts and YouTube videos that I'm like, I want more.
Yeah.
Well, here's that more, right here. Anarchist cultist Aaron James, but coming at you.
Oh yeah, Mario can too. DT Dubs.
DT Dubs.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, we're not done yet. Dude.
Oh,
Still got like 15 minutes,
oh,
bro. I'm just exalting myself in my humble manner.
Gotcha.
Yeah, humble manner. That's what I'll call my mansion.
Humble manner. I like that. So will it say humble on the gates or HM on the gates?
No, it's just going to be implied.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's going to be a gold.
Oh, dude. Oh, man, that reminds me of Futurama. There's an episode with Calculon, the actor.
Oh, yeah, the soap actor.
Yeah, and he's like in a yacht. They're in a swimming pool in his yacht, and it says, what is it, Calculon's Vanity. And then like that yacht's in a swimming pool on an even bigger yacht. It says Calculon's Talent, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm nowhere near that rich, man.
No, I know a yacht's a bad investment. Like unless you're gonna live on the yacht, it has diminishing returns.
Well, that's
it's a you can't sell it for as much as you bought it ever. As soon as you get it, it's worth less than its resources. So like unless you're living in it, like it's a house,
yeah.
You don't want a yacht.
What, it wasn't Michael Mouse, it was Jason Liu who explained that. Well, he called it, well, I call this being rich. Being rich is having a yacht in which to park your other yacht.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the rich. Those are the people messing with the stonk market and controlling the meat and everything. And you don't have to want these things either, people. Like you can, if you really think about it, you do not want a whole lot. Like being a millionaire, it sounds nice, but like it's not the money you really want anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's the freedom.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. And someone's freedom might cost them, $40,000 a year. Others' freedom might cost them $400,000 a year. Depending on your family and all that. But like it's an illusion just to hypnotize you. Yeah, man. Stuff's looking rough, dude. Tarot cards have been telling me that I'm going to live a life of poverty.
Oh, man.
But that's the path I'm on right now.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's hope, but it's funny.
Did you bring your deck?
No, man, I should have.
Maybe next time we could do a reading.
Oh, that would be hilarious and potentially scary because the cards have been pretty
pretty brutal.
Yeah, I don't know with how the moon's going to affect it. Because I've only gotten started into doing this, but like when the full moon is coming, bro.
Oh, okay.
Like
we're waiting right now, though.
Yeah.
Was Mercury still in retrograde?
I have no idea, bro. I don't keep up. I'm just keeping up with the moon. It'd be interesting to keep up with all the other astrology.
But you're the occultist, bro.
Yeah, but not every occultist is into astrology. There's so many different areas of the occult and magic and spirituality.
Gotcha.
Like some people are astrologers, some people are into tarot, some people are into demonology or spiritism or angels or just like basic, cunning man or just basic witchcraft. Like, uh, yeah, you can get as nerdy with it as you want, as simple as basic, chaos magic, the postmodern magic. Yeah, dude, fucking. Sometimes it's scary looking at having the cards thrown out at you, and you're like, oh, man. 'Cause, like I have been concerned about my material situation, and I keep getting those inverted pinnacle cards, which are all about the earth and materiality. Freaking inverted 10, which is the wealth card, inverted 9, which is material gain.
Damn.
It's like,
well, maybe you need to take everything out of the stock market, bro. You're just like, oh shit,
I don't have
I'm about
anything
to
in the
lose.
stock market.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe you need to put it in, dog.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I was on the Great Work server the other day. You will never get in, so don't even try.
Right.
Eventually, we'll have our own Discord server probably for patrons, because we roll like that. We're cool.
Yes, sir.
And you probably think we're cool if you're thinking about joining our Patreon,
Make
which
that
we
money.
don't have. Yeah, I mean, you should want to be there because the cool kids.
Yeah, the coolest people, the most attractive people, the smartest people.
Yeah, and we have no problems kicking you out if you're a douche either. So like, we'll give you your money back and be like, no, we don't need you here because freedom association, libertarianism.
Yeah, voluntary systems.
Yeah, but what I was saying about the stock market is because I think I get these like I still have, even though I'm all spiritual and stuff, I still have the urge and the desire to like hit the get rich quick stuff. Because I don't want to trade for like long term. That wouldn't be why I entered the market tomorrow. If I entered the market, I'd be like, I want to turn $500 into $550 and see how fast I can do that.
A week.
A week?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, dude! So I'm thinking about getting into swing trading. I've thought about this for a while, and I do have the money. Thanks to the government, all that COVID money, I still have a bank account.
Thank you.
So it's not all bad. I mean, the power structure's there. I'm gonna use it. I'm not about fighting the system. I'm about using the power system.
Yeah.
Shape shifting and all that stuff.
Play the game.
Hell yeah. But I'm definitely thinking about doing that here soon. So now with all the stuff being locked down and controlled, like just like, what the hell do I even do?
Well, just don't get on Robinhood.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Gross.
Yeah. Oh, that was not pleasant.
Nah.
Fucking.
Yeah. Just gotta keep playing the game. Play the game. Use the rules to your best of your ability. I think we need to revert down to state rights again, so that I can have my guns, and the people in New York and California can have no guns. And
Yeah, they can get robbed.
yeah, it's like where do all the mass murders happen in gun-free zones? Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Circulars ain't that stupid, man.
No. And another, just more proof, government intervention ruins everything. What is it, California last year was all excited because, no, it was 2019. They were all excited because they passed a law so that contractual workers would get health care from whoever was hiring them.
Oh, after
After their quota was met. And so what happened was that, these people would get all the way to their quota, and then they were ineligible for rehire from that point forward because all these companies were like,
disincentivized.
I'm not gonna fucking pay for your health care for the rest of the year. Like, what the fuck? And so all those truckers fled to Texas, and all those journalists fled to Arizona.
It's goofy, man. Like, oh, this will make things better, and it doesn't.
No.
Good intentions, man. It's silly.
Yeah, the same thing with what is it in France? The whole reason that I think it was the yellow coats or the yellow.
Yeah, the yellow vest.
The yellow vests. They were having a problem because gas or the cost of living was going up and up and up. And it's because France was making all these things to moving to the new world of energy, so they were going to use less petroleum and less all that stuff, and then so people's energy bills were just
I
skyrocketing.
thought France already had like a healthy nuclear program.
Maybe it wasn't France. It was,
No, France is the yellow vest, I believe, for sure.
Or maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I understand that the electric bills like went sky high in some European nation, and they were getting pissed off. And it's the same thing that happened in Brazil a few years ago. They increased the price of public transportation, like the bus pass, by like 50 cents, dude, and like people flip their shit, like.
Yeah, don't increase the prices on utilities. Fire people.
Yeah.
Seriously, less people in government.
Yeah,
like,
man.
We got the internet now. We have technology that can do all those jobs.
Yeah, which was so great about the apps for stock investment. The reason it makes it so affordable to trade is because it's all a computer. You're not like talking to some broker and they're talking to their boss and then they're talking. It's not like fucking Wolf of Wall Street or whatever where you've got like all these middlemen. It's like buy, sell, touch my finger.
Yeah, now they're starting to regret it because they've given power to the little man. These freaking. Who would have thought these peasants were so smart?
Yeah, dude. Collectively.
Collectively.
And it's the same thing with the market, dude. The market is a living, breathing entity, and it's all voluntary transactions by individuals, which is why it's the most successful thing. Like the reason why Walmart became the number one retail store in the world was because it took a quarter off of everything, and then eventually it was making so much money it could take $1 off of everything. It was making so much money it could take $2 off of everything, and then people are incentivized to shop there because they could get everything for cheap.
Yeah.
And then those dudes became billionaires or millionaires or whatever. And it's not that they're oppressing the poor.
No, the poor can afford more stuff.
Exactly.
Walmart.
They're increasing the standard of living.
No, the only people complaining about that are mom and pop shops that can't compete, or better yet, most likely it's other big box retail stores.
Right.
And then, well, the mom and pops get it too, but you gotta compete. You gotta provide value where Walmart can't, which is generally in customer service
and
quality goods. And it's gonna be specialized. You might not be able to do a whole retail store. And you're probably gonna have to work a lot harder, but then you're gonna have to charge a premium. You can't compete on price. You gotta accept that most people don't want to be that creative, and it sucks to suck, but like the weak get eaten.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have the government come in and be like mandatory $15 minimum wage, and like mom and pop get fucked over
Twice.
even harder. Yeah.
This is why I've moved to libertarianism and anarchism, and at the ultimate. Like, there's probably no real transition to anarchism. It's just going to be another, like, there's probably going to be a fracturing, and then there's going to be a new progressive, which is really going to be ultra conservative government. It's going to start small, and then it's probably going to like blow up really big and get corrupt really fast.
Right.
Chances are. Now that might be not impeded, but gauged through the life expectancy, like, of a generation. So like it might be a minimum of 3 generations to go from a fantastic government to a corrupt mess, or probably even more than that. It's probably gonna be like 6-10 generations to do that.
Yeah, how many generations since the founding of the country? 1776 to now.
It's like 250 years.
Yeah, 249 or something like that.
Yeah, and probably divide that by like 20 or something like that. And it's probably a range. So 250 divided by 20 is 25. So 12 and a half potentially generations. So it's probably like, I don't know, 8 to 15 or 10 to 15 generations.
Well, it's going to be interesting, dude. I hear that our life expectancy is supposed to jump to 160 in the next 50 years.
Yeah.
And so then we have to restructure everything. Like, you can't be having lifelong politicians and lifelong senators, and you can't be having kids for like 100 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
how long is the school
I
going to
wouldn't
be?
do lifelong, and then, but I don't believe in term limits
Mhm.
because if someone's good, you
Keep
want to
voting
keep
them in.
you want to keep them there. It's the turnover that really messes things up because then you drag out that the political warfare every term,
Mhm.
and it's just then you have more scapegoats and it's more conflict than necessary.
Right, dude. But like, if I live 160 years, what happened 160 years ago? That was the Civil War.
Yeah,
It's like 4 years before the Civil War, some shit like that.
something like that. Yeah.
What's going to happen 160 years from now? I mean, the iPhone came out in what, 2004?
I don't even fucking know, man. In 160 years, I don't even know what it's gonna look like in 5 years.
Airplanes were in the 20s. Am I tripping?
Something like that. Yeah, the first airplanes. I don't know about commercial airplanes, but I mean they had the bombers during the war,
Mm-hmm.
and that probably transferred into civilian technology, civilian
If
enterprise.
you get the opportunity to move into space, do you take it?
Depends on how bad it is on the ground.
Heard that.
Yeah, man. That's always what it is. But I'm pretty.
I think the moon and Mars are going to be like Beverly Hills and
God, they're gonna
and
screw up the moon, man. The beautiful
Hamptons.
moon, and they're gonna put. I mean, they better do it on the dark side.
Nah, dude, there's going to be Disneyland up there.
Yeah, but put it on the dark side. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see people having a good time on the moon. I want to see the beautiful light of the sun reflected on the moon.
Right.
Put it on the dark side.
Oh yeah, could you imagine? Wait, like, well, the dark side. Well, I guess you wouldn't see it from Earth, but if it was on the, because both sides still get sun, right?
Yeah,
Different
yeah.
times.
Different times.
But wouldn't that be cool though? If like, you know how when you see like the satellite photos of the world at nighttime, and you see like all the lights,
Yeah.
and you see that on the dark side of the moon. But then the new moon would look really dumb because then you'd have
It's gonna be a full moon.
Las
It's gonna be like
Vegas up there.
it's gonna be splotchy. It's gonna be garbage, bro. Yeah, man. Don't fuck up the moon, please. But it looks like we've come up on our hour.
All right,
Finally,
now this
a couple
time.
of false ends and stuff. Thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us. It's been fun. We're your co-hosts, Aaron James.
Mario, what's up?
Yeah, and we'll come at you next week, another free ball session, see how it goes.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and all that bullshit. And thanks for listening. Catch you next time.
Later.